In March 21, my mother died. She was 84 years old. And just a few months later, her second great-grandchild was born. She knew he was coming, was very excited about him, but she didn't witness his birth. But this is what this quilt is about. When cleaning out my mother's house, we found, of course, several items that belonged to her. And one of them was a very beautiful piece of embroidery she had made for her firstborn son, my brother. And she had kept that all the time because she couldn't throw anything away, but also for the emotional value. That was one item that we found, and my mother lived on a farm, and in the Netherlands, traditionally, farmers use big red handkerchiefs. That's a traditional piece of cloth. So when this boy was born, I decided to make him a quilt using those two items, those handkerchiefs and this beautiful piece of embroidery, to give him something of his great-grandmother. There was a third item, and that's the pattern that I used. My mother loved cats, so does the father of the child, and actually they have cats born on the farm where my mother lived. So those three items I put together in a quilt. It's meant to be a playing quilt. This is it. The making of this quilt, it was a few months, and it also helped me to say goodbye to my mother. And by keeping this piece of embroidery and giving it to the next generation, it's also a way of remembering and keeping my mother with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I wanted to use those handkerchiefs and had decided to make cats. I didn't have a pattern, but I found pictures on the internet and figured out a way to transform that into a patchwork pattern actually. From then it was a little bit of a puzzle how to use the print on the handkerchiefs, where to be the tail and the head and the body of the cat. And that was quite a puzzle, but I managed it. I used one fabric for the background. It's a fabric with text in it, very appropriate, I think. It says love, inspire, hope, all those things that you would wish for a newborn to have in his life. And the centerpiece of this quilt was the embroidery made by my mother, and I added the name of the young boy who was receiving this quilt.